Today we're going to Las Cruces, but along the way I'm going to stop by a Shakespeare Ghost Town and do a tour over there. And yesterday, after I checked into the hotel, I met some awesome bikers over there. So the lady at the receptionist is a biker, her husband's a biker, another guy who works there is a biker, and I had some great conversations with them. Yeah. So I kind of like feeling a bit better about myself now, because I told him how many times I fell down the bike, and he was like, I fell down as many times as you as well, like, or even more. And he told me all the times that he fell down. Yeah. So I don't feel as bad now when I fall down, unless there's a major damage to the bike that costs a lot of money. Then I would feel really bad. But I guess things happen and it's okay. Just deal with it and move on. Oh my god, I'm in another state. I'm so happy. So far I've been in California, Nevada, Arizona, and now New Mexico. Yeah, I'm probably going to try to get to Texas and maybe Mississippi. Yeah, we'll see how it goes, because I don't have a lot of time left. Oh, so excited to be in New Mexico. Wow. I'm supposed to turn right here. Here? Oh crap. Oh no, we're going on dirt roads. La da da. This is not a good idea. Okay, but I got to practice. Okay, it's not so bad. It's not exactly dirt. But I will drive slowly. Oh. Do you hear my voice? Okay, here. Why on earth am I doing this? Okay. Oh my god. What is going on? What is going... Whoa. How exciting. But making a lot of noise. You think it's here? Probably here. Am I supposed to turn left or right? I'm gonna turn left. Yeah. Man, this is hard. I'm gonna park here.
Your destination is on the right.
Okay, maybe somewhere here. Okay.
I'm just going to turn the lights on.
Okay.
And so I do this tour a couple different ways, but you know, this building is probably not what you expected to see in a ghost town.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to expect in a ghost town.
In other words, you didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, I know. I have no idea.
So in 1935, a Texas cowboy by the name of Frank Hill and his wife Rita would purchase this ghost town as a cattle ranch.
Mm-hmm.
History really wasn't what Frank had in mind. Frank was a rancher. His wife Rita, though, was a former school teacher, and when she got to noticing these old buildings here, she got to talking to the people living in Lordsburg. A lot of those people had originally lived up here, and she started collecting the history. In 1939, their daughter Jana Lou was born. Jana Lou would be raised here. And as Jana Lou grew up, she would move away to do her thing, which was some acting, some dancing, and some modeling in New York, Denver, and in California. In the 1960s, Frank's health declined on him, and Jana Lou's mother, Rita, was trying to take care of the town, the ranch, and Frank. She gave Jana Lou an ultimatum. If she wanted to continue with her career, she had her mother's blessing. But if she wanted to keep this ranch, she was going to have to come back home to help. Jana Lou wouldn't hesitate. She'd give up her career and come back home to help her parents. And at that point, this building here was being used as a home in Lordsburg. They would purchase it, move it up here, convert it into this dance studio, and she'd get to continue her career by teaching dance to the local girls in this building for the next 30 years. Jana Lou was an amazing lady. On top of being an actress, dancer, and a model, she also had to be a rancher, a historian. She was an incredible seamstress. Most of the outfits the girls have on in this building, she made herself or with the help of the girls and their parents. She would choreograph most of their routines. She's written books on the history of this town. She's written newspaper and magazine articles as well. She wrote all the reenactments we used to do here. An amazing lady. In 1984, she would marry a gentleman by the name of Manny Hogue, and together they would preserve the history of the town until Jana Lou passed away in 2005 from cancer, and that would just leave Manny here. He passed away May of 2018, which is the reason I'm here. Manny had been previously married in Ohio, and I married his daughter, so when he got ill, we moved here to keep the place going. Yeah.
Wow.
So there are some pictures of Jana Lou on the wall over here. This is her with the red scarf. This is her as well. Gives you an idea how tall she was. That's that door.
She reached the top?
Well, you can see where her head is.
Okay, yeah.
And she is on her toes as well. But this is her as well. This is her hiding in the back with a beard.
Yeah.
And then the third picture from the end is her as well, that one there.
Oh, nice.
You're welcome to walk around the building. She teach over 600 girls dance in here over the 30 years.
So wait, how is she related to you again?
She's my wife's stepmother.
Your wife's stepmother. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she never had any biological kids of her own. She had all the girls she needed.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing stuff. But like I said, you're welcome to walk around. And just
Okay,
go through a big
I'll go
circle.
walk around. Toys for the kids?
Yeah, stuff from the building, some of her sewing stuff. So you staying in the United States, or are you just here visiting, or?
I'm here visiting, and then I'm going to make my way down south to South America.
Oh, okay, very neat.
Yeah, it's going to take a few years.
You're doing this all in one trip?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jana Lou's dad, Frank, would pass away in 1970. It would just leave Jana Lou and her mother, Rita, here. Well, in 1973, Highway 10 down there was being constructed, and it was cutting the northern pasture off from the ranch. And there were no provisions for any easements under the highway. So with the help of some, and she didn't want this highway going through her property. So she wrote some letters to the state protesting the highway, and of course the state ignored these letters. So with the help of some friends, this little building here suddenly appeared down where exit 20 is today, right in the middle of where they wanted to do construction. So when they arrived in the morning, standing in the doorway of that building was Jana Lou's mother, Rita, holding a rifle, daring them to come remove her. She would hold off the construction of that highway for 3 months. During that time, she didn't give the workers a hard time because it wasn't their fault. They were just doing their jobs. But after 3 months, the warrant came out for her arrest, and she was arrested. The state was so mad at that point, they ordered the building to be destroyed. The workers, though, having such respect for her, had other ideas. Instead of destroying the building, they dragged it out of the way, and it sat over there on a hill overlooking the exit up until we moved it here in 2013. But the building's known as Rita's Last Stand or Rita's Shack. She would spend 17 days in jail after she was arrested, because that's how many days it took her before she signed the piece of paper saying she'd no longer go down and impede the progress of the highway. But
Okay, tough woman.
she did. When they put the highway through her property, they did at least give her an easement under the highway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
that's a big adventure going all the way down.
I know. Have you done any road trips?
I did throughout the States, and I've been to the UK once, but never any place else.
In the States? Where have you been?
Pretty much everywhere in the States. This is a big place.
Yeah, it is. I need to come back to finish all of the national parks in future. Yeah.
But yeah, it's heading towards summer down that way now. Is that why you're headed that way?
Yes. I'm trying to stay south as much as possible. It's just
Right,
so
right.
cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like last summer I had people, actually last winter I had people from Argentina that came to visit me.
They flew here?
Well, they were visiting the United States, and it was so it was winter here though. And I said, well, it's summer where you live. Why are you visiting here now in the winter? Where it's cold.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what originally got things started here, as far as the Old West stuff, is there was a small spring that was in the wash on the other side of town, or the arroyo, and because of that small spring in 1856, the Army would put the first building here. This would be a military mail relay station. And then 3 years later in 1859, the Butterfield Trail put an alternate route, put a stagecoach station here because of the clean, reliable spring. And then that would kind of lead up to the Civil War. And during the Civil War, you would have the Confederates from Texas first here, and then later the California Column of Union, after they pushed the Texans back after their big battle over in Arizona at Picacho Peak. There were never any battles here that we know of. But the area during the Civil War and before the Civil War was simply referred to as Mexican Springs because of the clean, reliable spring. After the Civil War, they would reopen the stagecoach line and call the area Grant for a couple years, and send John Evanston, a stagekeeper, out here to reopen the stagecoach line for them. What would really get things going here, though, in 1869, 1870, they discovered silver outcroppings in the hills. Got together with the president of a bank in California by the name of William Ralston, formed a town here, called the town Ralston City in his honor. And you would have miners flocking here because of the silver. There'd be 3,000 miners here during this first mining boom. There'd be 150 to 200 structures scattered throughout these hills at that time. Not all of them adobe, some of them tents. You know, the cemetery you passed on your way up here is the original cemetery for this town. To give you an idea how vast it expanded. What they would discover about the silver here, though, is once they got through those initial surface deposits, it didn't take them very long to figure out how hard and rocky this ground is. And the only way of getting equipment out here at that time was with a freight wagon. That made things kind of tough. Some of the miners started getting frustrated and started leaving. A couple ingenious gentlemen, though, decided they'd like to keep things going for a while longer. Smuggled in a cigar box full of diamonds and seeded the anthills of Lee's Peak, that mountain there, and started selling stock in diamonds. Well, I don't know if you've heard of the diamond swindle of 1872 before, but this was a big deal. Not only were they supposedly planting the diamonds in that mountain, they were also supposedly planting them in Northern California, Colorado, and Wyoming. It all depends on whose book you pick up and read. But this eventually was blown up as a big hoax, and people would start leaving town because they didn't want to be implicated in the scandal that would ensue. Now, the town wouldn't completely die at that point. You still would have the stagecoach line open because of the water source. And with so many miners here, by then you had a general merchandise. And some of the ranchers that were coming here for their supplies, you may have heard of. The Clantons and the McLowrys were coming here for their supplies. Curly Bill Brocious was hired by the mining companies to help protect their interests, and you also had Johnny Ringo out here as well. In 1879, an English mining engineer by the name of William Boyle would buy up a lot of these silver mining claims. And he knew he'd get that equipment he needed to go deeper in the mines because he knew the railroad down there would be going through soon. And he wanted to see the town prosper as well, but because of the taint of the diamond scandal, he could leave the town named Ralston City and convince people to come back here. So him being an Englishman, him being fond of Shakespeare, is simply how we got our name. He would rebrand it as a new camp and name it after his favorite author. The second mining boom would last till 1893. In 1893, we would switch to the gold standard. That would cause the price of silver to plummet and would end the second mining boom. Not only for this town, but many silver mining towns throughout the West were all closing at this time. The population during this second boom wasn't nearly as large as the first, It was a little over 600. There were a lot more families, though, during the second mining boom, because when that railroad went through down there in 1880, they put that little stop down there that would become Lordsburg. Initially, the families would get off at this little railroad stop and move up here, but as time went on, they would gravitate down to where the supplies were coming in. And Lordsburg would grow up and Shakespeare would decline, and it really declined at the end of the second mining boom. There would be one more mining boom from 1907 to 1932. Copper was the hot commodity during the third and final boom. We were running all our original electric lines throughout the country, and copper was that hot commodity. And there would be about 200 miners living here during the final boom. After the mines closed in 1932, there were just a few people left renting a few of the buildings out. And then in 1935, Frank and Rita purchased the town as a cattle ranch. So I think I've completed that circle for you.
Yes, you have.
And this is the main street of the town. And you'd have buildings lining this street. And this road here would actually go out much farther than it currently does. It just ends at the fence line today, but at one time it went out and eventually teed off with another road. There was another road that ran parallel with this one on the other side. The only thing you can still see from the entire road is the one wall over there. You see the wall standing up over there? There's only one wall left over there from the entire street. It just looks like a rock structure straight out this way.
Oh, I think I see it. Yeah.
And they're just foundations over there now. During the third mining boom, they ran a rail line right through the center of town back to the different mines. You see what's left of the rail bed here? And it would have went right through the center of town and right on out to Lordsburg. The town never had any schools. There were never any churches here. There was never any law enforcement like a sheriff. The law enforcement was always vigilante or militia. It did, however, have 16 different saloons that we know of or have stories of during that first mining boom. You have 3,000 miners here, primarily men. What are they going to be doing? They're going to be drinking.
And gambling?
Huh?
Gambling?
Gun playing? Is
Gambling.
Oh, yeah, of course, gambling as well, yes. I have to say your English is quite good as well.
No, we speak English in Singapore.
Oh, do you? I didn't know that.
That's our first language. Yeah. You speak any other languages?
I do not. I'm not bilingual at all.
Oh.
Yeah, just English.
Yeah, it's good enough.
See, I learned something new today.
Yep.
Now, this first building I take in is the last saloon that still stands.
Out of the 16 saloons?
Of the 16 or so saloons, this is the last one.
Wow.
And every one of these adobe structures are original buildings.
Cool.
This is the Grant House Saloon. The saloon was added on to the stage station by stagekeeper John Evanston as a way to make extra money from the stagecoach passengers. And they say the boys in here get bored drinking and bet each other who could shoot the flies.
The flies?
Shoot the flies, yes.
Yesterday, I was spending a lot of time killing the flies in my room. Okay.
Yes, yes. And you see the walls are riddled with bullet holes.
From killing the flies?
Yes.
How is that safe? Like, wouldn't there be other people?
I never said it was safe. The tin on the roofs didn't arrive till the second mining boom. The railroad brought the tin.
So
Previous to that, during the first mining boom, most of these roofs were flat, yucca stock latia roofs. You would have dirt over the yucca stalks, and you would line the ceilings with linen. And you'll see examples as we go through the various buildings. The only alcohol you could get in here would be whiskey. Beer needs to be pasteurized to travel. That wasn't common until later. And, wine, you might get lucky and get wine, but primarily you had whiskey. Yeah. It wouldn't be good whiskey.
I don't know. It's actually not that big. I thought it'd be like way bigger.
Right. Movies always make these saloons look so much bigger than this. This is a very typical size saloon. And I caught a barn owl in here one time.
Huh.
He was sitting on that chair right there.
Yeah.
At that table. like he was waiting for a drink, and I took a picture of him and actually made a postcard out of it. You'll be able to see that in the museum at the end of the tour.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Interesting. Okay.
This is the Stagecoach Station.
Oh.
And this room was originally constructed in 1859. In 1865, when John Evanston arrived out here after the Civil War to reopen this building, this room was the entire building. During that first mining boom, he would have that saloon added on to the building to make extra money from the stagecoach passengers, and also add the front dining room on as well. By the 1970s, this room was in bad shape, and Jan and Lou had to get some friends together, and they would redo the whole back section of the building, and also redo the yucca stock latia roof you see above your head. Are you familiar with yucca stocks?
No.
I'll point out a yucca plant when we're outside.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're kind of like bamboo.
Yeah, it looks like bamboo.
Yeah, it's kind of like bamboo. They're tough. Like, I don't know if they're probably not as tough as bamboo, but they're pretty tough themselves. And like I said, I'll point out a picture. I'll point out where there's one outside. But even the floors in here are made of adobe. Some things you'd have around this, around for that time on the table here. Dutch oven. This is a coal iron. Seen a coal iron before?
No.
No, you actually put hot coals in there to heat your iron.
Oh.
Yeah, very neat stuff.
Yeah.
This is a 1920s, 1930s waffle iron.
Cool.
And this is a coffee grinder. A washboard. You ever seen one of these before?
Is this for like escargot?
No, it's actually it's a Swedish or Danish pan called an abelskiver, used for making little pancake balls.
Oh.
Have you tried those before?
No, I have not.
Yeah. There's a video on our Facebook page of a girl making the little pancake balls in a pan just like this. If you want to look at it.
Yes.
Yeah, very neat stuff. You just have to scroll down a ways till you find it.
Okay, I will.
Now this, actually pictures of our last wedding we had in here. Keith and his wife Heidi got married here in 2005. Keith was one of our reenactors, and now he's one of our tour guides that comes and helps us by giving tours. And he also writes our newsletter. And the items in the display case were found in the dirt here.
You guys do like reenactments?
So we don't still do them. No, not anymore. We lost too many reenactors, so we didn't have enough people eventually, and it died off to do that. Like right now, there's just 3 of us here, so.
That's enough.
Take turns playing the different parts.
You could put out like an event on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
Right?
But you see, this not only served as a dining room for the stagecoach passengers, it did also serve as the hanging room.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So we don't know how many people were hung in here for sure. There are varying accounts, depending on whose accounts you'd like to believe. We do know for sure who the last 2 guests of honor were. They were Sandy King and Russian Bill Tettenborn. They were both hung in this room in 1881. Russian Bill had arrived out here with a hunting party, and he liked his prospects, and he decided he would stay. He must have been somewhat trusted. He was working as a claims recorder for some of the miners here. Unfortunately, a couple of those miners showed up here and accused him of robbing them out of their mining claim. Some very serious charges if your job was to report their claims. The local militia would get together, decide there was some truth to the matter, and decide they were going to hang him for this. Sandy King, he had arrived with the first mining boom. Like Curly Bill Brocious, he was hired by the mining companies to help protect their interests. And he had simply stayed around after the mining companies no longer needed his services. Sandy didn't do just one thing that was bad enough to get himself hung. It was an accumulation of things with Sandy. He had been a thorn in society for several years. And the morning before he was hung, he went to the general merchandise and he purchased himself a silk handkerchief. And in doing so, the clerk found it rather amusing that the tough cowboy was buying himself this silk handkerchief, so he was poking fun at him a little bit. Sandy, being the type of gentleman he was, didn't take very kindly to being made fun of, and thought he would teach that clerk a lesson. When that clerk went to hand him the handkerchief, Sandy grabbed him by the arm and shot one of his fingers off. This was a bad mistake by Sandy because that clerk happened to be very well liked in town. Sandy, however, had been a thorn in society for several years. The local militia would get together. They'd already decided they were hanging Russian Bill. They got to thinking about all the things that Sandy had done and figured they might as well just hang Sandy at the same time. That way they could just throw him in the same hole. The digging out here is not easy, and the one standing rule they did have in town was if you killed someone, you had to bury them. That did help keep a lot of the indiscriminate killings down because no one wanted to have to dig the hole. These two gentlemen, however, would hear about this little party they were about to be invited to, and they would make things much worse. They would jump on two horses that didn't belong to them and try to ride out of town. Horse thievery also was not tolerated in the 1800s. They were gathered back up, they were brought in here, and they were hung. This would be a terrible place to be hung. This is not a drop you and break your neck. This is a kick the chair out from underneath you. And the local militia members just stood around and waited till these two men quit struggling. And then once these two quit struggling, these guys all went back to their homes. John Evanston, the stagekeeper, just went back to his bed in the back room. And they would leave these two men hang here overnight. They wanted to make an example of these guys. What they didn't plan on, however, is the next morning a stagecoach came rolling up. And the passengers would get off and come in here expecting to get breakfast. But they would first have to help cut these two men down and drag them outside and land beside the building before the tables were pushed back in so they could eat. And on the stagecoach was a stringer. Now, a stringer in the 1800s was a reporter. He would travel the trains in the stagecoaches, and he would collect stories. And when he got to a telegraph office, he would string the stories back. He got the bug of John about the two dead men. He wanted to know what these two men did, and he wanted to know the full details of this hanging. But let's face it, this was technically a lynching. Remember, I told you there was no sheriff here. There's also no judge. So these gentlemen didn't get proper trials, and John didn't want to get anyone in any trouble. And John's busy trying to do his job by trying to feed the other passengers here, and that stringer's doing what reporters do. He's following John around, badgering him. After a while, John gets mad because this guy won't leave him alone. Turns to the stringer and says, "Russian Bill stole a horse," and of course he did. Sandy King was just a damn nuisance. We don't think he asked very many more questions after that. He kind of went about his way. And you'd think that would be the end of the story, but several months later they would get a letter from the Russian consulate in New York inquiring the whereabouts of Russian Bill. He really was Russian, and his mother was inquiring of his whereabouts because she had been receiving his letters from Shakespeare for a couple of years, and he suddenly quit writing back to her. She wanted to know if anyone knew what happened to her son. Now, again, this was a lynching, and they didn't want to hurt her feelings either by saying we hung your son. So they put their heads together and came up with a letter that just simply stated, "Dear Madam, we regret to inform you, but your son has died of throat trouble." It's not a lie.
That's not a lie, it's true.
It's not the complete truth, though. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. That happened in here in 1881. That was the last hanging in this room. Need maintenance and stuff, and we have to make money, so that's why I'm giving tours. We want to keep this place open so people like yourselves can come and enjoy it and enjoy the Old West history.
Nice.
So Mr. Boyle did have a sense of humor about him. When he was busy renaming the town Shakespeare, this street would become Avon Avenue. This building would become the Stratford. This is the Stratford Hotel. Some of the famous people that have stayed in this building. President Rutherford B. Hayes, him and his entourage would take over this building for a whole night when he toured the West. He was the first sitting president to tour the West. George Hunt, Arizona's first governor, before going on and becoming governor of Arizona, he used to wait tables in this building as a young man. He'd talk about that during his speeches. Lew Wallace, territorial governor of New Mexico. Union General, also author of the book Ben-Hur, used to stay here. And Billy the Kid would wash dishes in this building after breaking jail in Silver City after robbing the Chinese laundry and escaping through the chimney. He needed some supplies to make it into Arizona. He was too small to work the mines here, so they put him to work washing dishes and sweeping floors for a couple of days to earn some money so he could buy his supplies to make it into Arizona.
Nice.
He hadn't killed anybody at this point. He wasn't, he
Mm-hmm.
was just a petty thief. I'll walk you around the building. I won't take you upstairs because of the condition of the building, but I'll take you around the main floor.
All right.
We do have some pigeons that fly in through this hole, so they fly out. Oh, and there's a yucca plant there. You see the stalk sticking out of it?
Okay. Okay, that's how it looks like.
And you see how large this dining room is?
Yeah.
You would not only serve the patrons of the hotel in here, you'd also have to serve any miners that came in here to eat as well. With 3,000 miners here during that first mining boom, this would be a busy building. It would be the only hotel in between Las Cruces and Tucson for many years. Your only other option was going north to Silver City, and that would take you out of your way and make you go through the mountains.
Wow.
I don't hear see the pigeons yet, but you can see the mess they're making. So you see the kitchen?
Cool.
See what's left of the cloth ceiling in here? The cloth would serve a couple purposes. Not only would it help catch any dirt and keep it out of your food, it would also help reflect light. Drywall didn't exist at that time. You'd get your eggs in boxes like the one on the windowsill packed in sawdust. Cardboard and plastic didn't exist at that time. The little pepper grinder on the molding there. The stove's very neat. You see how it has the warmer up top? It also has all the neat little flaps to help keep stuff heated as well. A cupboard like that one encased in the adobe would serve as your refrigerator. Adobe's an excellent insulator, and you just throw a door over that. It would help at least keep stuff cooler than room temperature.
Nice. Oh.
I will take you to the other side next.
Okay.
Even though I don't take you upstairs, there are 4 bedrooms upstairs. Each of those bedrooms would have 2 or 3 beds in them. When you stayed at a hotel like this in the 1800s, you didn't necessarily get a room to yourself or a bed to yourself. If you were lucky enough to get a bed, more often than not, you would have to share it with someone else, and it could be someone you don't know.
So it's like a hostel.
They would separate the ladies from the gents, however, so the ladies didn't get any unwanted attention. Yeah. What's up, brother?
Drop this, first of all. Hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm good.
I'm Andy.
I'm Jeanette.
Oh, okay.
What size were you carrying? Is that 45, 38?
This is a 357.
57, got it.
Why? Well,
Just wondering, I'm
you're searching.
searching.
Yeah, it's a 357. I have the 38 snake shots. I have like 50 rounds of it, so.
Gotcha. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, so you want to get the same type.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, this is a Ruger Blackhawk, whatever, single action type deal. Yeah.
Gotcha. Pew pew.
Yeah. Yeah. Andy's a friend of mine. He moved from Ohio to here to help us.
See, another guy for a reenactment.
He'd be involved in those if we were doing them. Yeah. You know how the bath water worked during this time, right? So, if it was a family environment, Dad would bathe first, then Mom, and then all the kids by age. You ever heard the term, don't throw the baby out with the bath water?
No.
That's what that term's come from. Because
it'd be the last to bathe.
The baby'd be last and the water'd be nasty by the time the baby was bathed. Yes. If it was a community bath, it would start off at one price and just keep getting consistently cheaper. It was right.
As in they use the same water?
Yes.
No.
Yes, that's how it worked then.
But how do you collect the water? So you pour it on yourself, and then where would the water go?
No. They would have a tub, and everyone would bathe in the same.
No way.
Yeah, you just take like one person gets out, then it's the next person's turn. Yes.
That's not right.
Well, different times. Water sources out here. You're in the desert. And That's how it worked in the 1800s. You know, it was people didn't know any better. You know, to me, I'm a shower guy. You know, I like a shower myself.
Yeah.
But you know, those guys, you know, back at that time, they didn't. You know, like when you even like things we take for granted today, like a restaurant. Like if you'd come in here to eat,
Yeah.
you'd get no menu. There'd be no menu. You'd eat whatever they had available for you. That's it.
Oh.
There were no picking and choosing what you ate. You ate what they had to feed you. That was it. Something else we take for granted in this day and age. You could go to a restaurant and order what you want. There were no options back then. It's like we have this. This is what you're going to eat. You know, that was it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Do you still have like a bathtub somewhere around here?
No, I don't currently have one. That would be very interesting. And even though I don't take upstairs, you can glance upstairs. It's pretty nice up there still.
Yeah. Nice.
So I'll take you around and take you to the other 2 rooms on the side.
Okay.
This is the parlor. And the 2 young girls on the table there are Emma and Ella Marble. Emma and Ella arrived here in 1882 with their family. Emma and Ella would grow up here. And Emma would later get married and become Emma Marble Muir. And she'd become the first historian for this town because this is her history. She lived it. She'd go on and write several articles about the history of this town, some of them for New Mexico Magazine, which are on display in our museum. John Evanston, the stagekeeper, he would get ill in 1887, and the Marbles would try to care for him in that next room. He passed away in this room of heart trouble. His picture's up on the wall on the right, and the bed's the bed he died in. All the furniture that's in these 2 rooms actually belong to the Marbles. So it's all like from the 1800s.
Wow. Wow. It's pretty small and short.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you gotta figure this bed's from the 1800s. People were shorter back then.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't take you upstairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we gotta get that fixed before I can do that.
It's okay. I don't want to go out because it's not safe.
Yeah, it's not safe for me to take you up there. But you see, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty nasty old bed. We're going to go out the side door.
Okay, thank you.
You will. And next we'll go down to this next building.
So who else is living here right now?
Just 3 of us.
You, him, that
Yeah.
guy just now,
Me, Andy,
and
and my wife.
oh, where's your wife?
She's hiding in the house where she always hides. She's the one that answered the phone this morning.
Oh, okay, I see.
She answers the phones and does that kind of thing. I give tours and work on stuff, and Andy works on stuff. He hasn't been here long enough to be able to have all the knowledge to give the tours yet. But this is the old Army mail station.
Yeah.
And the left side of the building was constructed in 1856, and the right side was added on in 1858. The Army would use this building until the telegraph became prevalent, and then they would abandon the building, and then after that, families would use it as a home. You would have many families living in this building in its history. I'm going to open up the whole building.
Okay.
Because normally this would be open, but you're my first tour today.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, and I'm going to give another one here at 3.
Okay.
You can look in this side. I don't allow you to go in this side because
Sure.
it has its old yucca stock latia roof with dirt on it still in there.
Okay.
And it's the oldest building on the property.
Yeah, okay.
And there's always a chance some of that ceiling could fall and hurt you, so I don't allow you to go on that side. After I
Sure.
open up this side, you're
Yeah.
welcome to come in and look.
Okay, got it.
But you can look in the doorway and shutter on this side
All right.
after I open it. see this old roof?
Yeah.
With the dirt on top of it and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You can come in if you want.
I can come in? Okay.
Yep. You can come in this side.
Alright.
And
Yeah.
so imagine families using this as a home, plural. Furniture is very neat. It's a reproduction of 1850s camp furniture. It's put together with no nails. See how it's put together like Lincoln logs? You could just simply take all of this apart and reassemble it.
It's modular. Wow.
So yeah, the idea is you could throw it back on the back of your wagon, and when you get to your going, you just reassemble it and you have tables and chairs again.
That's so clever.
Yeah. The owls spent some time in here as well, eating at this table. He is a civilized bird. He does eat at the table. You see his owl pellets made it on the plate.
Nice.
Yeah. A very neat room.
Yeah.
This building's seen some history. It's amazing this building's still standing here.
Yeah, I'm quite amazed. Are you going to do anything to strengthen the...
Well, eventually
walls?
we hope to get to this building, but the hotel's our first priority.
Okay.
You know, after, actually we got some stuff to do the dance studio, and we're going to repair the outside of that dance studio, but then we're going to move on to the hotel.
Okay.
This building's definitely on the list.
Yeah.
I think this is the third building on the list for us to fix.
Interesting.
So it doesn't fall down on us. Have you ever been to the to this area before?
No.
No?
It's my first time in the U.S. I came in in October.
Oh, okay. So you've been seeing some stuff. You've been, you know, the views like this. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And the thing is, pictures don't do that justice.
I know. You got to be there.
Right. Yeah,
in
you got to
person.
physically see it.
Yeah.
Did you see the Grand Canyon?
No, I did not.
You didn't do the Grand Canyon?
I did Zion National Park though.
Oh, okay. Anyway, this is the assayer's office. This is where miners would bring their ore to have their ore evaluated.
Uh-huh. Oh.
And this building was ready to fall down in the 1980s when my father-in-law Manny married Jana Lou. And he would get some friends together.
Yeah.
And they would redo this building. And this building looks like what it's supposed to look like in the 1880s. You see the cloth ceilings back up above your head, like it's supposed to be? The walls are done up nice.
Yeah.
The cabinets are all restored. You have some stuff on the table you'd have around for the time. Stuff like this chunk of iron ore. I mean, this is different types of iron. Iron ore. This is copper, oxidizes and turns green. Iron pyrite or fool's gold. You seen fool's gold before?
No.
You can hold it and look at it if you want. You see how it sparkles like gold? It's not really gold, but it looks like gold.
Yeah.
This rock here has azurite and malachite through it. You see the dark blue is the azurite, the light green's malachite.
Yeah.
This chunk of quartz. This piece of quartz has a silver vein that runs through it. You see the black line? It's raw silver.
Cool.
Yeah. This chunk of rock here is just this piece of slag from the rail bed. But if this was your rock, you would bring it in and give it to the assayer. He would weigh it up on the scale. Then he would take the hammer there and he would pulverize it into a powder. Put it into a crucible.
Yeah.
Take the crucible, stick it in the assay furnace, and he would heat it up and melt it down. Then he would extract the various minerals and metals from one another by using things like arsenic and cyanide and mercury. Then he would weigh each of them up in this scale and figure out how many ounces of each you could expect to get per ton of ore. Then he'd write you out a report on your mining claim. And you would have this report to take to present to maybe other potential investors or even a bigger mining company you're trying to convince to buy your mining claim from you. And if you had your own little independent mining claim, this was what you wanted. You didn't have the resources to mine it all yourself. What you wanted was the mining companies to buy your mining claim from you, give you the big check, and you let them worry about mining it, and then you go get another mining claim and rinse and repeat.
Interesting.
One of the neat pieces of equipment we have in here is that piece of equipment over there.
Yeah.
You ever seen a press like that before?
No.
That's actually a letterpress.
Oh.
It's used for making copies. In the 1800s, paper was thicker than the paper we use today.
Okay.
And you also wrote with a quill. Now, a quill will leave a lot more ink on the
Yeah.
page than your ink pen will today.
Mhm.
And if you needed a copy of, say, this report that was made out for you, what you would do is you'd get a sheet of onion skin paper, dampen it,
Uh-huh.
you'd lay it over the report,
Uh-huh.
slide it between the two plates, and you'd squish it together.
Yeah.
Some of the ink would transfer from the page to the onion skin paper and give you your copy. Now, it'd be backwards, of course, but you can see through onion skin paper, so you peel it up and you turn it over and you have your copy. Have you ever seen onion skin paper before?
No.
So onion skin paper is not really made of onion skin.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Yeah, it's called onion skin paper because it looks like yellow onion skin. It's thin and it looks like yellow onion skin, but it's not actually made of onion skin. I don't know what it's made out of.
Okay.
It just looks like yellow onion skin. But, yeah. That was your copy machine for the time.
Wow. Everything was done here in this small room?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Yep, the assayer did stuff right in this room. This is the real version of the Old West.
Yeah.
That isn't really commercialized or anything.
That's good.
I don't think you're looking for commercialization if you're riding that bike.
Nope.
'Cause you don't have any room to store anything on that bike.
Yes. I will not be buying any more stuff forever.
As the next stop, this is the Blacksmith Shop. This building, however, was lost in a fire in 1997. This building burned down. The hay barn that we walked right past and you didn't go in burned down. And the general merchandise also burnt down during the fire. This building and the hay barn have since been reconstructed. This is a pretty amazing blacksmith shop.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
My father-in-law Manny designed the windows and how they're open.
Uh-huh.
And him and a friend also redid this block and tackle in here. This is a 10-ton block and tackle used for moving equipment around in the mines. And his last project in here was this thing.
What is this?
It's a giant bear trap. Do you see?
No.
Yeah.
Do you need a trap this big to
No,
trap
you
a
don't.
bear?
No, you don't. But he made every piece of this thing, and we just leave it hang here. No one's ever dared set this thing.
I think you should.
Yeah.
You could kill like a real person.
Yes. He up and joked it was for the IRS. I told him he needed a bigger trap if he was trying to trap the IRS. But
How
anyway.
would this work? Like you would have
How
set
it
it
works,
up.
if you'd set it, these are the springs on the end.
Yeah.
So you compress these springs and it lets these jaws
Oh.
expand out like this, and this is the plate you step on to, and yeah.
What other projects did he work on besides this?
Well, you've seen all the like rebar running through the buildings and stuff like that. All that's his work. You know, he did all that stuff. He also rebuilt this blacksmith shop after the fire, you know, as well. I mean, not completely by himself, but he had help. But you know, this is all his handiwork. Very, very good guy. You know, and this is a working blacksmith shop. You know, the forge over here still has coal in it. You know, it was just lit in October. I had a blacksmith in here in October, and they were working the forge.
Doing what? Making what?
Well, he's making some different things, but like some chains. Here's examples of some of the little easy things that some blacksmiths can make. You know, this is stuff that was made in here. This is just a little nail hook. You know, you just pound it in the wall, and you give you a little hook to hang on the wall. Here's one that you have to put a screw in, but this one has a twist in it. You know, and this is, you know, you want to hang a pot or hang something, and you have your little S hook. You know, just some simple items. You gotta think about it. In the 1800s, the blacksmiths had to make all of that stuff. You know, so. And I'm sure it was the same way anywhere in the world. The blacksmiths at that time in the 1800s were making everything.
Yeah. Wow. So everything's functional?
Oh yeah, yeah. This is a working blacksmith shop. Everything's
Wow.
functional. Yeah. Yeah, everything works.
Very nice.
Any questions on anything in here? You want to walk around and
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
walk around.
a lot of tools in here.
Yeah. But they're all very rusty. Are you sure they are
Oh.
still usable?
Oh yeah, they're still usable. A lot of them were in the fire. You know, a lot of them were picked up right off the ground after the fire.
Mm.
So probably not as solid of tools as they once were, but still.
Wow.
Next we'll walk out and down.
Okay.
We'll walk down to the powder magazine. So you driving the whole way on that bike?
Yep.
Okay, that should be pretty interesting.
Do you ride bikes as well?
No, I don't. I don't own one. That's a long way with a lot of weather.
I know.
That's the only drawback with a bike. Starts raining or something and you got to duck somewhere.
I know. I just wear my liners. Yeah.
So this is a powder magazine. If you needed black powder in the 1800s, you know, you could certainly go to the general merchandise and purchase them.
What is black powder?
Black powder is what they used to use in guns and
Okay.
cannons and stuff.
Mhm.
And you use them to make explosions.
Mhm.
Well, you could buy some, but the black powder being very volatile, they wouldn't store it in their building.
Mm.
So they would store it down here in the side of the hill. Now, in 1993, there was a movie filmed here called Doc Holliday, The Man, the Legend. And when they were filming that movie here, they needed a place that looked like a mine.
Mhm.
This was their idea of a mine.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
they moved this
thought.
ore car
Yeah.
here and put this set of tracks under it to make it look like a mine for the movie. In reality, it's just a powder magazine. This is what it is. It's just got some prop barrels in there now.
Huh. Is that dynamite?
Fake dynamite, yeah.
Fake.
Yeah, fake dynamite. Yeah. We wouldn't have any real stuff in here. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But yep.
Yeah, I thought this would lead somewhere like
No,
underground.
you thought it'd be a mine, yeah.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah,
I
but
was
it's really
excited.
So this was the general merchandise. It served lots of purposes on top of being a general merchandise. It also served as a post office, a telegraph office. They taught school children in the building for a while because there were never any schools here. The basement served as a speakeasy during Prohibition. And the Hill family, when they moved here in 1935, would make this building their home. Jana Lou would live 90% of her life in this building until the fire burned it down in 1997. Some wonderful pictures there of what it looked like.
Mm.
This is Jana Lou's mother, Rita, here at the bottom in the middle.
Mhm.
And some articles of the fire as well here.
How did it start? Oh, from a pile of lumber.
Yeah. Start.
Mm. So how did they put the fire out?
Oh, the fire department just came here and they contained it and they put the fire out, you know. They couldn't do anything by the time they got here. It was too far gone.
Mm. At least the fire didn't spread.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
they kept it from spreading.
Okay. Nice.
Kept it contained to those three buildings.
Mm.
And next is our museum. It is the only other place we don't allow photographs because
Okay.
of copyright laws on
Got
a lot
it.
of the magazine articles and pictures. But there's lots of stuff you can see in the building.
Mhm.
I
Wait, is this open? Okay. Yeah, so Google was actually telling me to avoid this road closure, but apparently it isn't closed, so I get to go. Only at 92 miles. It's crazy. Doesn't even feel like it. We're reaching in 13 minutes. Oh cool, we're in the neighborhood. Oh.